Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're watching. If you're going to catch the replay, hashtag replay and let me know. If you're here live, say hello. I'll periodically check my phone in the group just to respond to what it is that. Hang on. I'll do that again. I'll just record. Hello, good morning, and good afternoon or evening, wherever you are in the world. If you're catching the replay, hashtag replay and let me know. If you're watching live, say hello, and I'll check the group periodically to see if there's anything that you want to add or comment, and I'll engage with you there. Hi, Helen. So today we're going to be talking about the art of storytelling and being able to move your audience. Now, we know that I was going to open up by telling a story, but first I feel like I want to set the tone and set the scene. So the art of storytelling takes us into our right brain, into our feeling and creativity, and into our body. We know that the logic, the left brain provides, it's the divine union. Both pieces are incredibly important, but we know the limits of that aspect of us. And if we're creating and only connecting with our audience and through our business from the logic and from the mind, then we're very limited as to the ripple effect, the impact, and the movement and the shifts of our audience. And so when we do it through our feeling, our heart consciousness, we are and we do that through storytelling, through sharing pieces of our heart and sharing pieces of the sensations that happen within us when we have an experience. Now, I have a lot of people, a lot of the clients that I work with ask, I am unsure of how much of my story to share, where they're referring to, overcoming trauma, healing trauma, and experiencing things in their life that shaped who they are, that have shaped, the strength and the resilience and the way in which they show up in the world. And the long and short answer of that is where you have received the insights, the learnings, the lessons, the medicine from the experience, and that it is shifted from the survival brain, the limbic brain. It is shifted from, a trigger and a trauma that becomes that is a trauma that still shows up as a trigger in the body, is not ready to be shared. And there is a dance, there is a fine line with these pieces, because we want to feel moved. We want to, within ourselves, we want to feel passionate, and we want to have the sensations in the body, the emotion linked with the thought sends out the frequency into the world to connect with and to move our audience. So a thought with a feeling, with an emotion come together, and then sends out a frequency to create a shift in our audience. So we want to have that experience, but it's the frequency in which it comes from us that creates the shift. And so if I'm in the pain and the trigger and the suffering, and then I'm sharing that is the ripple effect. And we know that our experience, the world, is a sacred mirror of what is going on within us. And so the experience of storytelling for somebody who still has a lot of unresolved stuff, still a lot of trauma alive in them, is far from what they feel compelled to do. Now, what we do with storytelling is, with storytelling, we want to share it in a way that has people feel as though they can connect with the story. And so what that looks like is that we share the pain of where we were, we share the feelings that we had, and using our senses to describe the what it is that's happening, what it was that was happening at the time. And then we share the medicines, the breakthroughs, and where we are now. And like all stories, like all movies, there's an arc that we take people on. There's the journey of the climb, and it's called the Western story arc. And there's the climb, and we know that this experience of having to, say, for example, building your sacred business, where your business is based on products and services that you sharing your gifts with the world, and doing that is so dependent on how you feel about yourself, and how and the medicine that you've received from your own journey. And the way in which we connect with our audience is through inviting them into our heart consciousness, and we can do that in the form of story. And so with that Western story arc, we're sharing the trials and tribulations of believing in ourselves, of what it takes, what we've had to traverse, what we've had to go through in order to be where we are now. And the where we are now is believing in ourselves and serving humanity, and sharing our gifts with the world, and making an impact. And so if we look at the whole concept, of storytelling, every single story that moves people starts with the challenge, or the problem. It's the challenge or the problem, the solution that people want to hear. The solution is having a mentor, might be, learning about embodiment, coming back home to the self. So it's the problem that they experience, the solution that, we've discovered after part of the climb, and then sharing the pieces that were really pivotal, instrumental, the line in the sand moments, at the crest, the crescendo piece at the crest of the mountain. And then the coming down the other side is that this piece that I've experienced, this piece that I've had a perception shift around, has landed me in this place that I am now, where we make it's like a brand promise. And we're making a promise around what it is, what the potential outcome will be by taking this journey with me. I've walked the path. It's the heroine's journey. I've walked the path. And so when someone asks me about how much of their story can they share, the answer is, if there is medicine in what you share, if you have received the medicine from the challenges that you've experienced, then you can share the story. Because it's not, storytelling is not to share victim stories for sympathy and for, you're not alone. These compelling stories that we use in marketing for connection is to open our heart consciousness to resonate and align with the heart consciousness of others, where the story is designed to create transformation, not a me too. It's not a me too movement. It's to create transformation. And so And sometimes we can underestimate what that looks like. It's the challenge can be sometimes that that we haven't always overcome everything that we've experienced. The challenge is that we are still in a learning experience, and we can even share from that perspective that I am on a constant wheel of evolution and ascension that is that I'm revisiting. Sometimes I'm revisiting layers of that next lesson. So, where I've had experiences of extreme self-doubt, where I shared recently a story around external validation, and the transformational piece for me was that I understood at a conscious level that external validation was a bottomless pit, that it wasn't in my highest to be seeking external validation, but I couldn't quite put all the pieces together of how to do the internal validation piece. And so the story was all of the mountain that I climbed of on my way to validating myself. So in that journey of climbing that mountain of overcoming external, having a bottomless pit of external validation, that in that climb there were many moments where I was internally validated. I was more and more connected with my self-value. And so in that journey, I shared along the way, along over the last kind of 2 years, I have shared the pieces along the way. Now, there were examples of where I thought that I was internally validating and I was sure of who I was and my value, and then to have an experience where somebody, an experience happened, a circumstance happened, somebody did something or said something that went against that, or had me, or triggered something in me that had me question my value. Then I went back to, oh my gosh, I don't know if in this moment I'm not actually feeling so sure about this self-value. And oh my gosh, I needed my inner circle to remind me. And then that is external validation, but that was reminding me of things that I know to be true. Though if my inner circle starting to remind me of things, if I didn't believe them and if they weren't really resonant within me, then it wouldn't work, in those moments. And so in that journey of climbing that mountain of overcoming external validation, as a set point, is that I shared along the way where I did have breakthroughs around that. And then I would have experiences of being wobbled again where it wasn't fully anchored within me. And then recently, so in the last maybe 3 to 6 months, there has been another experience around embodying internal validation, and so these tongue twisters. And so then I shared the whole story again, because there was more of a journey to share of getting to that place. And so when it comes to moving your audience, we can have threads and themes of what it is that we share as part of our brand, as part of who we show up as and who we are sharing with the world. And so, part of my messaging is this reclamation of our power and our sovereignty, and unhooking from the opinions of others and people pleasing and all of that, the reclamation piece, and the message around reclaiming your voice, and that no matter how your experiences in your younger life and being shut down or not knowing how to fully express yourself, and the journey of fully the vocal alchemy of fully reclaiming your voice and your truth. And so then these threads and these themes are a tapestry in all of my content. And so if you start to look at your life's experiences as a story of stories, of a book this big, of a bunch of stories that have shaped you, and that I talk about this often in my programs, is that I have an art pad, an A3 art pad, and in the middle of the art pad I wrote my birth, and then it's a mind map with lines and then another bubble of significant experiences in my life and what has happened on that journey, and medicine and traumas and triggers and ways of overcoming all of these pieces, all in this story of my life. And then I can look at this story and this art pad and look at everything that's there, and I can tune into what it is that I'm experiencing now in my life. And then I can look at my story map, mind map that I've created in my book, and then I can share the related piece to create that Western story arc where we've got the problem, the solution, what you've overcome, the medicine, and then the promise at the end, which is like, the rainbow at the end. And so that story, and you cultivating that story and sharing that story with your audience, brings people closer. It brings people into your world. And we know that in order to guide people, in order to support them with their transformation, there needs to be a high level of know, like, and trust. In order to take the journey with you, we need to open our heart and arms in order and put our hand out to invite them in to take the journey. Because in the work that we're doing and in the sharing of our gifts and creating this, supporting people to create the transformation in their own world, it is intimacy, it is emotional intimacy and connection that does that, and allows that experience to happen. And so there are many people out there that can put on a performance, that can speak well and share in a way that sounds really great. But if we, especially now that the veil has been lifted, if we don't feel connected and safe, if we don't feel the authenticity of that person, then we don't step forward. People don't step forward. And so when I see things around the AI and whatnot that's happening, with marketing and creating leads and all of that, it's in my experience, and my not my experience, my wisdom, and when I really sat with this and chat and like really connected with my channel around this piece of whether AI is a threat to marketing, to coaches and people creating an online brand. And I don't believe it is, because you cannot replicate with machines the human spirit, the experience of connecting with the human spirit. And so all that we are being invited to do with the storytelling is that we are sharing a piece of our heart consciousness, and we are sharing it from a place of, I have received my own medicine. I have integrated and embodied this piece, And no, it's not perfection. So yes, I still have, we are this ever evolving experience. So it is not from a place of perfection. It is not from a place of anyone else's judgment of whether you have reached mastery or you're at the pinnacle of something. It is a deeply personal experience and a deeply personal knowing that this is where I'm at with my journey of embodiment and integration, and I have medicine to share. And so it is knowing, it is claiming that piece for yourself and then sharing it from that place. And so that went in a different direction to what I had planned. And that's what I love about trusting my channel. So let me just have a quick look. I've got, oops, go turn the volume down. Comments. Hello from the Gold Coast. Oh, I'm so glad it resonates. I'm digging this in the process of reclaiming my sovereignty. I've shared a few stories using this concept, very powerful, especially when you do it in public. The best one was when I was avoiding, as it was a huge conversation, and I think the word is controversial. I could feel my heart almost jump out of my chest leading up to it, but it's so good to share, being vulnerable whilst sharing from my heart. I was so proud after I actually shared a snippet about my darkest time in my life where I almost ended it, and there's so much to this. Yes. This concept is one I've heard you discuss before, but for some reason I always block it out. I'm making a note of it now, not sure why. Yes, okay, I love this piece and I'm going to share a little bit. I like the tool, a tool for words for me, I meant. Yes, amazing. I just had to read those because I got onto a tangent and then didn't check any of the messages, any of the comments. And so the piece about sharing a part of us, sharing our story and sharing our medicine and connecting in that way it is a really big thing. It's a very, very powerful skill, and many people are afraid of their own power. We're afraid of what might come of that. And there's that beautiful Marianne Williamson quote about who am I to be? It's often our greatness that we are more afraid of, and so in the experience of sharing a piece of our heart, it's like it's sacred and it's incredibly powerful, and we want to really have reverence for that. We really want to recognize the absolute beauty and gift. So everything changed for me when I gave up the idea that I was doing anything for marketing. My experience is fully is knowing that my soul came here to experience all of itself. And my experience and my desire is to go forth and express myself. So I came here to experience all of myself, and then my job is to express that. And whoever resonates with that along the way, amazing. And I have known for as long as I can remember that I have had this desire, to share in this way, but I had so many things to overcome in myself, the internal terrain, the shut down throat chakra, and the just so many masks and so much conditioning to overcome to be able to do what I'm doing now. And so releasing myself from that I'm doing anything other than my soul just expressing itself and sharing my light with the world. So any story that comes in that's anything other than that, I know it is just my smaller self, my ego self, that is still part of who I am, that still gets some airtime, and I can love on that part of me. But I know the soul truth is that it is simply to express myself. So this is the piece. So when we get a pulse to share, what it is that's coming through for us, when we recognize a part of our soul light, a part of the medicine, something that we're like, man, I've really got what it takes. I'm really resilient. I'm really powerful. I'm really, so devoted. When we recognize those pieces, that is our soul desiring to express that outwardly. And we're not doing it for anybody else. We're doing it for this expression piece. And it is creating art in the world. And if we go through our experience and we're doing that, we're on that journey, then I note it like this. To me, this is where the magnetism comes in, is because anything that is any other soul that is in resonance with that message will naturally come forward. And this is what has happened for me. My journey when I was younger was that I felt so misunderstood, so lonely, so disconnected, and like I was just really different to everybody else. And I couldn't find my people. The issue was, and it wasn't that there wasn't my people there. My issue was I closed down the beacon. So I had closed down the beacon, and no one could feel or sense my light and my frequency. So they couldn't find me. And so it is through the experience of opening our beacon of light, our heart consciousness, that supports us with creating a meaningful life. And a meaningful life comes from this experience of sharing ourselves and connecting with others. It just, as long as it's as simple as that. And so everything else is a result of that, so everything else is not a result of that. Everything else is a auxiliary. I forget the word I'm looking for, is a annex to that. That's not the right word, but like extra bits to that. But really, it's coming to creating the safety in the body in order to be all of who you truly are and to express that. And so I was going to tell a story. I've kind of threaded stories through what it is that I've shared. I'm going to wrap this piece up. Now, there's 48 hours left to join my beautiful 4-week-long program called Resilient. It's a short, potent incubator to support you with all of these pieces, but really anchoring your own unique feminine launch blueprint so that you can show up in your business in a way that's deeply aligned for you, that is not following a strategy or a way that somebody else has shared and told you how to be, which can get confusing because we're constantly changing, constantly feeling like we have to recalibrate and do it differently. But recognizing your own soul blueprint and letting go of those last threads of hustle, and really, connecting with that pulse of who you are and who you're here to be, and sharing that with the world. And so the link is in my bio. I'll also pop it under this video. And if you've watched the replay, let me know what your biggest takeaway was. For those of you who are live, share what you got from this share today. And I look forward to hearing your beautiful storytelling on your profile. And the other thing is, this is a little piece of an entire lesson around storytelling, that this is a piece. So there is more to it, and just letting you know that this is a small part of that. So have a beautiful day and afternoon and evening, and I will see you soon.